Very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining in for today's webinar. We're waiting for more folks to join in while I'll also go through today's topic and agenda. The topic for today's session is payment integration. We're going to see different players that uLaw integrates with specially, right from TD to Pivotal, Moneris, Global Payments, and LawPay. So we do have my teammate Stephanie here on the chat window who'd be available to take any questions. And we will also be sharing some links, important links for you to check out some cool LawPay offers in there. And if you have any questions to set up payment integration at your uLaw account, please ping us your email ID and we'll have our support team contact you shortly, probably after 3 p.m. today. All right, so just about to begin, and we have a nice agenda here where we're going to be seeing a few of the subtopics that we're going to include in the session today. I'm sure many of you who have been using uLaw are aware of at least uLaw integrates with different payment players. So here, right now, we have TD as one of the options. So the ones who bank with TD, you can certainly ask your TD bank manager or also let us know. We could connect you with the TD, team that we have at our end. And likewise, for any other key players that you're seeing in here today. But overall, what is the value addition to your business or firm if you have payment integration in there today? Especially post-COVID, we have many of the offices going completely virtual right from the time you intake a client to rendering any sort of services and to collecting the payments. In terms of collecting the payments, people have evolved into payment integration options because we don't want to ask you to ask your client to stick to just one of the options, which is either e-transfer or with just maybe cash payments or credit card, etc. So with payment integration, it enables you to obviously collect payments using credit cards and at the same time also set up the payment collection in the respective accounts. That's the best point that I would see here, as when you are collecting funds into trust account, you don't want to get confused. So when you have this integration in place, the terminal IDs that you're using that you've already connected respectively to trust in general, it will allow you to record the transaction into the respective bank accounts. So it's pretty simple. We're going to see this today. Of course, we're going to see how it works in uLaw. I will be walking you all through uLaw account, my playground account, give you examples of how it's being done. But let's also look at a little bit of theory. I don't want to put you all to sleep, so please make sure to grab a cup of coffee or a tea. So you'll probably not go to sleep hearing me talk about this in the next few slides. As part of today's webinar, we're going to see how it can streamline most important aspect of your business, which is payment collection. And we're also going to see how these 5 key players can be beneficial to you, how they can be put to use, how they can be set up, and also see the payment integration being one of the most simple and efficient methods of collecting the payments and recording it. Also at the same time, compliant with trust in general. Now, if you all don't mind letting us know your questions on the chat window, we'll be taking it towards end of the session. And Stephanie is also sharing some links every 15 minutes once. Any questions anytime, please post it in there, and we will address it closer to end of the session, webinar. Awesome. So what are the pros? And of course, like every other system, there will be plus and minus. There's going to be pros and cons to this. So we're going to see what are the pros first, as to definitely getting paid faster and accurately. When I mention faster and accurately, you are not only getting paid directly into your account through the credit card collection system, but you are also getting the payments into respective bank accounts, which is trust or general respectively. So each of your bank accounts will be provided with a terminal ID, and that terminal ID will be connected to the system in uLaw through settings. You will be choosing the key player, you will be entering the terminal IDs, and you will be signing in. So that way you're authorizing your bank accounts to be collecting the payment automatically. Of course, for that, you need to send some kind of a link to your client. Either it's attached on the invoice, either it's attached on the retainer receipts, or it could be on payment receipts too. So there are going to be several touch points with your clients, client-facing documents rather, which will allow you to collect the payments faster, accurately, in a convenient manner, and most of all, cost-effective. Now, you could ask me how it could be cost-effective while you would be spending a little bit more in addition to what you're paying to uLaw. But you all know that uLaw is definitely cost-effective when compared to most of the programs. And adding another, 15 CAD or 20 CAD, depending upon the players you're choosing. For an example, it's only going to per month. And plus, of course, your transactional charges depends again on player to player. So, but it still works out to be cost effective, trust me, because you get paid faster. So it's obviously collecting money earlier than you think when you give several options to the client. Accurately, so there's no mistakes involved in here. Technically, it's at least reduced. So the time you're spent or the time you're spending towards recording these transactions are reduced, which is also time value towards your, money that you're going to be saving. And most of all, you're able to access it from anywhere, anytime, and on any device if you have your username and password. Everything today is online. Everything today is cloud-based. Like how you have your banking transactions online today, even this particular integrated payment solution. Any player you take, everybody has user ID, password. Everything is online today. And, it's pretty easy to access from anywhere is my point. And most of these key players accept major credit cards and offer you more payment options too, right? You're basically widening the possibility of collecting the payments from your client. I mean, you also still will collect the payments, but how fast, how quick, and are you providing more options to your client, which is also a sort of customer service, by the way, giving the convenience to your customer. So it becomes 2 in 1. So they would obviously think about coming back to you second time or referring you to your client. So they're all a package. That's what I mean. So manage your invoice balances, your trust retainers better, because obviously all of these documents are going with a link. So be assured that you're getting paid and not waiting until the check gets bounced or you have any other delays. Let's say someone's sending you an intract transfer and you either don't, you've forgotten to accept it, it gets expired, or you've lost the password, whatever it is. Then you got to go back, follow up with the client, wait, apologize, get it. There's so much that goes into it, right? So you can avoid such scenarios in here. That's one of the key points, convenience that I would put forth before anything else. Getting paid faster, accurate, cost effective, all of those pros comes later, but convenience comes prior to everything. Like when you're using a software for 39 Canadian dollars or 49 Canadian dollars that allows you to be compliant with Law Society, do all the accounting, keep yourself on track with trust and general accounting, spending another couple of cents, like maybe $20 or $30 towards another system shouldn't be harmful. At least it'll be helpful for you. End of the day, be more convenient. So those are the parts of pros, or those are the points that form part of pros for integrated payment system solutions that we have with uLaw. And when it comes to collecting the payment under trust and general, as I already mentioned, you'll be given 2 separate terminal IDs. Of course, if you're someone who has who prefers to have a physical terminal, you can also request that to the key player, whoever that you're choosing to go with. And you can have a virtual and a physical terminal ID, and it'll help you to integrate with the trust and general accounts. Plus, everything is clearly noted here as to which account the deposit will flow into. Because if you're using a terminal ID that pertains to general, obviously it's going to be client payment. It's not a retainer that you're collecting into general account. So you want it to be so straightforward, where you have all the terminal IDs entered in there, and you have the respective payments collected into trust and general. Like you have the retainers collected into trust, so you're using the terminal ID associated with trust, and you have the client payments collected into the general, so that will also appropriately flow into the general account. Managing and streamlining and recording the transactions as they happen. It's not that easy when you're doing it manually. Trust me, we've all been there, done that. Probably many of you are still doing that. But this payment integration is nothing like what you're currently doing or what you have been doing in the past, where things are more streamlined, especially if you're using something like LawPay, for example. LawPay has quick bill option today, where you only have to click on your client has to click on the link, record the payment, and the payment goes into your account directly. And you can also look into your quick bill, accept payments, and go on from there. So, which is again everything integrated to uLaw, so that transaction also gets recorded into uLaw, which I'll be showing you when I'm in there. And of course, ensure that the funds are approved at the time of processing, guaranteeing the payment of the invoice and retainers. So you always have the probability of collecting the payment is high over here. That's about pros and having the payment integration, online credit card collection for trust and general. Some points to remember in here. Moving on to payment integration plus uLaw setup. Now, this is a very interesting part. Okay, so you've decided that you want to have payment integration with one of those key players that we were talking about. And you've signed up with them. Let's take, for example, you've all signing up with LawPay today. You've been given one of those agents contact you next week. You've been given a terminal ID, and you have your own username, password. You don't even have to punch in the terminal IDs, because in uLaw, if you go into settings, if you go into accounts, one of those fifth or sixth line item, which is payment collection under settings, under accounts. As you're all seeing here on the screen, on the right-hand side, there's a small screenshot for you or a small picture for you to show or see how payment collection looks like, say, while it's being set up. So under settings, under accounts, you have payment collection where, let's say, for example, I'm choosing LawPay account. The moment you click on LawPay and save, save on the top, you're going to see automatically it reroutes you into LawPay login page. And you, as a new user, would have been given the user ID and password to log in and set up your LawPay account. Now, that's the best part because it's so hassle-free. Everything is interconnected. Everything is integrated. You don't even have to get a terminal ID, unlike other players. In this case, you're only punching in your user ID and password, and everything is there. It's a one-type setup. That's what I'm trying to explain in here. So the secret keys for both trust and general are populated. They can, if you're a LawPay user, they're auto-populated. That's even cool because you sign in with your user ID and password. That is more like your one-time setup here for LawPay alone. But for the rest, you have to punch in your trust terminal ID and a secret key, followed by a general terminal ID and a secret key. Now, there's one point here to note. Not everyone will have a trust account, isn't it? Some of us have both trust and general. Some of us have only general. So you don't have to worry. In that case, you can leave the trust terminal ID blank. It is not necessary that you need to always, fill in all 4 line items there. So just enter general terminal ID and general account. For the ones those applicable, only enter both trust and general in there. So you have the settings panel in uLaw where you choose the player, you appropriately enter the terminal IDs or sign in with your user ID password. So like I said, LawPay allows direct sign in and authorize from uLaw. And if your invoice has an outstanding balance, it gets printed with a link for your client to pay directly at his or her convenience, which is such a boon because your client doesn't have to go back twice checking the invoice as to how much they have to pay you and punch in the information into the e-transfer or into maybe the check that they're providing you or any other format of payment, while they just have to click the link and it'll reroute you to the payment integration processing page with the exact amount that they have to pay and with the boxes where they can enter the credit card information. So they just need to record the confirmation and it'll all be emailed to you, and you could take action from there, further action from there. When you're entering, now that is one format in which, so if you have an invoice outstanding, you get it. Now, otherwise, if you're getting a retainer or a client payment, uLaw has these tabs that will prompt you to collect payment. The moment you enter new retainer or click on client payment and enter an amount, even try 1 cent, it'll immediately come up with collect payment at the bottom, which means the moment you click on it, retainer will go to trust, client payment will go into general using the respective trust terminal ID or general terminal ID. So that is how you collect the payment, and the workflow will allow you to collect and record the transaction into the proper account automatically, thus preventing errors, which is one of the most, I think it's such a boon. You don't have to worry about recording the transactions otherwise. So they're very straightforward, very helpful, time-saving factor here to be noted. Accurate too. So we've already discussed all of this as part of the pros. Now, I'm a big fan of payment integration myself because I use for, of course, my playground accounts. So at least when I show it to people, I can see how swiftly it works. And it's really nice to see such working situations or patterns when you are in a solo practitioner mode, or a small law office where you are alone having to handle so many things yourself, right from the time you draft a retainer agreement to the time you collect the payment and provide with a closing letter. We all know we wear different hats doing everything ourselves. So this payment collection system is definitely a life-changing moment here for all of you who are, especially in smaller offices, trying to do everything on your own. So now, as part of benefits of an integrated payment processing software, I'd like to tell you all something here. It's not just efficient, flexible, secured, and cost-effective, but it's also super easy to use. Now, many of us could think that it's an additional process, but trust me, guys, it's just one-time setup that you go through, and support is there to help you with that. Rather, the key players who you're opting, they also can help you with setting up. So there are different ways you can get help. Now, don't miss the opportunity thinking that it's an additional burden for you to set up things, for you to get started from scratch, and go through the hassle, right? I mean, we're all very similar in thinking sometimes that way, but trust me, there's so many people using this integrated payment processing software, and they just love this beyond words. Whenever I'm on support, they keep telling me that, hey, G3, you know what, this is something that is such game-changing. It saves so much time. And I'm also able to collect payments accurately. So try to think over these points that we discussed in the past 20-25 minutes, where, it's not only just efficient, flexible, secured, cost-effective, but overall super easy to use because you send out retainer letters, you have a link, you send out an invoice, it has a link to pay you. Just imagine that your client just clicks the link, pays, and thanks you. Nothing like that, right? When the integrated system allows you to collect payment and you have a very smooth workflow with collection of payment, recording the payment, and accounting details automatically as you collect the payment, which is more important. And flexible enough where, you have, like I said, retainers getting collected under trust, client payments going under general, makes your practice more streamlined, compliant, and hassle-free. So it's definitely flexible, at the same time secure, because it's being hosted payment collections through all these encrypted and tokenized systems. So today everybody is using various platforms, which is integrated to either your bank, which is integrated to your softwares that you're using. Now, everything has its own OTP, everything has its own security methods. But again, these 5 players that we're talking about today, which are TD, Monaris, Pivotal, Global Payments, and LawPay, everything is encrypted, tokenized over here, all these payment collection solutions, so you don't have to worry about that part. And of all, your overall time being saved, hence being cost effective. So to think of saving money by saving time, which is going to be cheaper when compared to you spending time following up on emails, phone calls, reminders, setting reminders, or engaging a payment collection agency or rep, etc. So if you ask me openly, I would say benefits of integrated payment processing software is really high and super easy to use. So please do use the opportunity that LawPay is probably providing a good deal. They're giving you about $150 account credit to the firm once you begin your firm's first transaction. The offer is valid until August 2nd, probably another 2 months. Yeah, close to 2 months or 7 weeks. So do grab the offer. There's a link where you can register for this campaign. You could use the link to register. One of the agents will contact you. Alternatively, feel free to leave your email ID with Stephanie Dorr. So you'll see her name here on the top, probably Stephanie uLaw. So you can feel free to, leave your email ID and we can let you know further details on it. Awesome. Hey, so payment workflow. So far we were talking about setup, processing, and how does it work though? Of course, we saw 3 to 4 places where we could put it to use while there's a client payment, while there's an invoice with an outstanding, it can be collected as a client payment or a retainer letter with a link where they can pay into the trust account. Likewise, a receipt also carries the link. Now, there are other ways where you can go into uLaw. You can directly click on new retainer or client payment. You see those dialog boxes there. You click on the new retainer button and then the first box pops up where you can enter the date, the moment you enter the amount, okay? You don't even have to enter anything else. The moment you enter the amount and click on credit card or whatever, you'll see payment collection button pop up at the bottom. That would immediately take you on to the next page where you have the terminal ID already punched in, order ID already punched in, amount already punched in. Everything is there. You only have to enter your credit card, your client's credit card information, and the card holder's name, and click on Pay Now, which will where you will get paid immediately, along with the information such as terminal ID and other details, which is after your payment has been processed. So this is how a payment collection works. This is very similar to all the players. There's not much difference. So it's a very simple workflow. Now, as I mentioned, that is if you're doing manually from uLaw. Now, your client can pay faster directly by using the invoice. Let's say there's an amount due. Your client owes a balance. He or she can click here and pay at the bottom because there's a please click here to pay the balance using your credit card. So immediately upon clicking in there, the next page opens again where you're going to punch in the credit card information and your client's credit card details, card holder and other things. So it's a very simple and straightforward process. I'm hoping many of you benefit from today's session. I'm definitely going to show you how it works in uLaw. So just bear with me for a moment and I'll walk you to uLaw. So this is my uLaw account. Now, if you're seeing here, it all starts with settings. So first of all, you have to go into settings on the top. You have to go into accounts and you have to make sure that you're choosing one of the key players that you're using. Now, of course, in your accounts, you won't probably see Test. You'll probably see Pivotal, Monaris, TD, Global Payments, and LawPay. Because this is a playground account, I'm using a Test account. Okay, so let's say I set it to none and I save it. So this is how your account will look for the first time. Okay, and then just to refresh, go back to a different tab, come back to settings, go back to accounts. This time I'm putting it as LawPay Test. immediately my user ID and password comes up because I have already saved it in there. Okay. And click on save. So for the first time, obviously you'll have to punch in the user ID and password. The sign-in page will pop up the moment you click on LawPay and sign in. And you have to enter the user ID password in there. Then the terminal IDs and the secret key will auto-populate and everything will be clear. Once that's done, there are a few ways where you can test your payment collection. Of course, you can have the links show up on the invoices. Let's say, for an example, you take a client with a balance in there. Let's say a Chris. You open a new matter. Let's say you add them to the client and you open in a matter for Acon. Let's say this is a traffic ticket or red light camera. I have a traffic ticket in there. Traffic ticket or POA. Yeah, there you go. Provincial offenses. Okay, so let's save it. I want to do a flat fee just to quickly save time. I'm going to just do an event with flat rate. Let's say it's legal fee, flat rate. I'm collecting $500 plus taxes. Save it. So if you're someone who wants to collect a retainer, you can always go into compliance and download a retainer letter. Let's say you want a $200 retainer. The moment you download the retainer letter, of course, it's going to come up with a link at the bottom where your client can pay using the credit card for the exact amount of $200 that you punched in somewhere here while entering the retainer letter, which is right here at the bottom. I entered 200 in here. That then populated in the letter over here. You're all seeing it being underlined and I'm highlighting it. Okay. And that $200 then goes into this link as link for your client to pay using the credit card. And the best part is it's retainer. So it goes into your trust account directly. So let's say your client's name, enter it here. Okay. Okay, the credit card information is entered in here. Okay, and the billing address, other information is entered in here. And you're going to process the payment in no time. The moment your client submits it, all this was done by your client. So imagine the time and efforts that gets saved in here. Everything is entered in here and you get a copy to your email ID too. Okay. Now the other way to record this is go into uLaw. It's retainer that you want to collect. So go to the disbursements retainer tab. You go to new retainer and let's say you enter 200. Immediately the payment collection button popped up at the bottom. Just have to validate all fields and this it'll bring you back to the same page. It's the same whether you are collecting it from the client or your client is paying using the credit card by clicking on the link that is available either on the retainer letter or on the invoice or on the receipt, anywhere else. Okay. While that's being done, go back onto uLaw. There's another simple way that you could collect it is that you could also give a receipt, retain a receipt, download it, and there's nothing in here, but you have to make sure to enter the amount. Hence, you can go into new retainer, enter the $200, click on payment collection, validate all fields, enter the option, all the details here. Then you can arrive at the $200 receipt. Okay. Of course, there are other ways to also collect it. So you can enter the information, receive from account, and provide them with a receipt and apply. So once you've collected the retainer, let's assume that you're downloading an invoice. Okay. This is the receipt. So you go back. They can also click on it over here. Okay. So which is readily available under the option over here. Just right here. Give me one moment, guys. Yeah. If you go into receipt, you can now click on retainer receipt and you can get the same receipt with the link. Okay. Now, let's say I'm raising the invoice for this legal fee of 500 plus taxes. You already have 200, so your client owes you 365 more. So you want to click on invoice, complete the invoice. Let's say you want to save time, skip the preview, do the invoice, download the invoice. The best part is it will carry a link and the terminal ID will be totally different from your previous terminal ID, which is the retainer letter carried. And this time, your client can click on amount due. So legal fee, retainer, amount due, 365. Click on it, show you 365. Enter it there, the reference number, everything is different. And the account it goes into is also totally different. Okay. If you're using uLawPay, uLawPay has a quick bill option where you can also enter all the information directly through the quick bill too. Okay. Just want to show you all how it looks in here. Otherwise, you go into disbursements retainer tab. Click on accept client payment. Last time we clicked on new retainer and entered stuff. This time, because it's a general account payment, we click on client payment 365, or you enter a higher amount and it will be neglecting you from collecting the payment because it has to be only the amount due. You can also do it this way. You can also do it as payment collection brings you back to the same page. Both are available. And of course, you can issue a receipt. And whatever is remaining in trust that you already collected the 200 directly, you can do the trust transfer and complete this entire file. So this I'm sure everyone is aware of, but I'm not sure how many of you are using payment integration. I strongly recommend all of you to give it a shot, especially while the sale or the promos that's going on with uLawPay. And once the transfer is done, you can see everything under the accounts page. Over here, you have the retainer that you collected for a conquest. You have that being withdrawn and provided into the general account. You go into the general account, you can see the payments that you collected directly from the client. And besides that, you can also see the other 365, which is the client payment, credit card, and this one, $200 came in from trust to be general. So both are in here. And if you go now, the best part is if you go into document generation, and if you go in here, where you have method of payment, let's say today, and download one, you will see that the credit card is seen here with all of the details. So this is something that Law Society definitely want to see. If you are collecting payments, all the method of payment and other things entered in here. So you have a nice description, which is automated. Again, you didn't do too much here. Client payment, Akon Chris, the matter number, credit card number, method of payment, paid to, etc. All the other information in here. Okay. Awesome. So getting back in there, I also like to show you one more thing in here. Now, let's say you're collecting payments. You can also go in here. You have payment collection. click on Trust. You can again do the same payment collection from your accounting page as well. Now this will help if you're doing if you're doing payment collection in general. You can also do this. Validate all fields, enter the credit card information of your client, and process the transaction. Okay. So this is something that is what I would recommend all of you to give it a shot. And like to also recommend one of the most important features, which is quick bill option. So about quick bill, which is again only affiliated to LawPay users. So quick bill and LawPay works well if your client has an email ID, and QuickBill can directly send your client an email upon you raising an invoice. For that, you have to make sure that the client has their email ID entered in here, or rather you are entering your client's email ID in here, and it can be emailed to them directly from the program. So that way you'll have all the information that your client will need directly from uLaw or QuickBill sent to them. Okay? That's another thing that I wanted to mention. So about LawPay and QuickBill, and you have 4 other users that we strongly recommend you to give a shot or at least give a try. They're TD Bank, Pivotal, Global Payments, LawPay, Monaris. Now, of course, we did see how simple and efficient and compliant completely with both Trust in general, this payment processing or payment integrated processing could be. Now, other than that, we also have various pros for saving time and cost and overall, benefits that you arrive from the payment workflow that we saw in today. I request all of you to try it by clicking on the link that's available here. The ones attending today's session who are not uLaw users, please visit our website, uLaw.io. I've probably not yet updated this screen or this slide, but I recommend you to get on uLaw.io and sign up for a free 30-day trial. Now, the ones attending this session who also have friends who are sole practitioners, who are small offices, less than 10 users, who wants to have a new program or an accounting program, legal accounting and practice management system or solution that you think will benefit them, there's a different link that Steph will be sharing. It's called Refer a Friend. So feel free to refer a friend. And I would request you all to do so, because nothing like a word of mouth from your own experience that you share with them. And I highly recommend you to register with your name so that, or ask them to register for the trial with your name as a referral code, so we can honor you for their, signing up. So that's one thing. And of course, obviously you want your friends to also benefit from the features that's available in here, and more cost effective. As I said, you're looking at 39 Canadian dollars or 49 Canadian dollars. And if they're a new entrepreneur, it's even cheaper at 34 Canadian dollars. And I request you to register using the link that will be provided in the chat window. And with that, I would wrap up today's session. I know it's only 45 minutes into the webinar, not a 1-hour webinar, but I think that's pretty much what I have to show you all. But a quick announcement about the next week. We do have a CPD here. The CPD is a very interesting topic. It is on disbursements demystified. I don't think any of you will want to miss this session. So please make a note on your calendar right away that June the 16th, next week, we have disbursements demystified. It's a CPD session from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please do make a note of it. And we've also updated the upcoming webinars for next 3 months in here. So feel free to go into info.uLawPractice.com/webinar. I'll be posting the link here for all of you to, register for regular updates. Feel free to register. Feel free to share this link with others, your friends, your community, because these CPDs are free CPDs. It's very hard to find free CPDs these days. You all know that you have to pay a few hundreds to get in for a CPD session. So these are Law Society accredited CPD webinars. So I highly recommend you to definitely, attend as well as spread a word to your friends and community. Right, so I'm probably opening the floor for questions. I'll hang in here for another 5 to 10 minutes. If you all have any questions, I would happily answer them here either on the chat window, or we could give you a call after this session and help you with your queries. For any questions, anytime, I request you to email us on support@uLawPractice.com or click on help and click on email uLaw support. And we also have a new button here. I'm not sure how many of you noticed it. There's a new button here called email uLaw client success team. So that would come to us, me especially, and my colleagues in my team. We'll all get an email. So you just have to click on uLaw client success team. You can either record what you want to say and send us. You can email us. You can tell us the reason, reach out when, and email and send us the email. Before you do that, before you either click here for help or before you click the actual help and email uLaw support, both goes into my email ID as well as my support's email ID and my other colleagues under support. I always recommend people to use search uLaw answers and search. We have more than 500 videos on our YouTube channel. Steph is going to share the links now, where you will see all of those important links such as the YouTube videos, how to access all these videos. They're very helpful videos. If you go onto our YouTube channel, you'll see that there are plenty of videos. You can go onto uLawPractice channel, subscribe to it. I know there are many regular webinar attendees. Many of you also use the, use and benefit from these videos. So there are these playlists. There are a lot of videos. There are more than 500 videos, if I'm not wrong. So even 5 days ago, we've got a new video in here. So I recommend each and every one of you to subscribe here and benefit from the FAQ related videos. They're nice videos that you could probably use, put it to use. And that's something about today's webinar and some extra info that we'd like to share. Steph, I request you to please share the links. We'll have more questions coming in. I'm ready to wait here. Just that I'm going to turn off the recording so that people who are watching it are going to not take too much of the time. So please do attend next week's webinar on CPD topic, disbursements demystified. It's 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Do email us in case you've not received the link, the same link that you will use each time to log in. Once again, thank you all for joining in this afternoon, and talk to you all next week. I'll turn off the recording, but I'll still be available to take your questions. Thank you and have a great weekend.